Hello, you guys. It is Gigi from Invite the Light coming to you with another reading. So this one is actually on Chad and Michelle. I don't know if many of you know them, but Michelle is a member of Destiny's Child, and Chad is a pastor that she actually met on a retreat and ended up really connecting with him. So they now, fast forward later, they now have a reality show where they're on the road to marriage. And so they are going into actual like therapy and stuff like that. And there's just a lot of issues that are kind of coming forth. Um, and for any of us who have kind of seen this series, like the first episode or whatever, um, I had said that Michelle actually is putting up some blocks that Chad actually seems to quite like her, and Michelle is actually like putting up blocks. And for instance, I remember he had cooked her breakfast and this and that. And she was basically like, "Oh, it doesn't taste good. It reminds me of hospital food or something like that." And I was like, "Girl, you're gonna sabotage the heck out of this relationship." So hopefully, let's see what's going on. Let's see where Michelle and Chad are energetically and where they need to actually go to in order to reach their goal of being together. I did see something online last week that said that that she called off the engagement, but she's called off the engagement a few times, per the show. So that might not be anything new. Like I think his issue was on the show is that every time she gets, they get into like a disagreement, she calls off the engagement, and he was like, that just can't be the way that it goes. You can't always just use that as a go-to. So they were working on that. So let's just see Chad and Michelle. I had actually heard their interview on the Breakfast Club. Otherwise, I wouldn't have paid much attention to this because, the reality shows are like a dime a dozen and they just basically suck up your time. So I thought that they had a really kind of very engaging interview, and it just seemed like she was really super happy. And also the star card comes out for them, which is really good. So I actually feel like this relationship isn't it. All right. Well, it feels like, based on these cards, I could say that they've actually broken up and that they're in there's a state of healing after having broken up at this point in time. That's the first thing that comes up. Or that the show is ended. The show might have been canceled or something to that extent, but I feel like they kind of broke up. So let me just see what else is going on. I'm not one of those readers who typically takes one card and just reads everything because the next couple of cards could change the meaning. I see defensiveness here, which I immediately see as Michelle actually super defensive in the relationship. Michelle also had some healing to do with some like issues, depression. She's been struggling with different things like that, and she had a couple of things going on in her childhood. So I do want to, good Lord, I don't want to take all these cards. However, I am going to say there's some real issues. I don't think that this relationship is really doing well at all. I'm actually going to put these cards back. I don't want to necessarily because, well, you know what? I'll just leave them because usually when when they're sent like that, they do make sense. So here we are, basically, and this card came out over top of this one. This is a family card here. This is a marriage and a card and stuff like that. There's a small chance that somebody might have had a bit of a death in the family, or a bit of a death in the family. But I do think that this, unfortunately, actually shows that they have transitioned out of this relationship, at least right now. Um, there's this wanting to like work on this whole thing. There's this whole thing where the thing that I think that sort of keeps them wanting to fight for this relationship. I really feel like Chad wants to fight for this relationship. I really feel like Michelle is like emotionally, needing for a lot more development. It's something that happened long in her childhood, and I know that she mentioned that, but it shows it here in the cards, and it just stopped her. It just stopped her trust. It stopped her development. It stopped her ability to sort of connect with people on a certain level. It stopped her, and I feel like even having been in the spotlight even more so, also added to that, also added to a level of isolation. It's very strange though, but it's true. I feel like, her stardom has also added to her isolation. I do feel like somebody might have had a death in the family actually, but here's the deal. I feel like the way Chad looks at Michelle is that he does really truly love her and admire her and find so much value. I do feel there's a distance now. I feel that, I feel levels of abusiveness in here, not like physical abuse or anything, but on her end, like verbal abuse. They have addressed that a bit, but I do feel it here in the spread, and that they are at a distance, but that he's actively like waiting. He's still looking for her to come around, as he does very deeply, so much, truly, really care for her. And he's very invested in fighting for this. And the way he's fighting for it is being quiet and waiting, but waiting and watching. He's doing a lot of praying as well, like really methodical um, praying. And he knows that something about her is very slow, not slow like in a disrespectful way. I don't mean it like that, but he knows there's her coming around could be a little slow. There's something about her that's a little slower and it will take a lot more time, but he's definitely praying a lot. I get lifting weights too. I don't know what that's about, but I just feel like he's definitely putting in work in certain ways as well, and he may be continuing on. Like, I don't know if they were building a home together, but I just feel like there's that possibility for that as well. He's looking for ways, I think, as well, to transform some things that had happened in his parents' marriage. There definitely is a lot of love there, especially on his part. She definitely feels the connection, but I feel like there's this whole thing where there's a lot of development she's going to need to do in order to be able to really ground this relationship and have it in a place where he feels that he doesn't have to be patient with her. Just relax, just be patient, like where he doesn't have to mentally and emotionally constantly adjust. How does he view her? Whatever the case is, he's still willing to very much so fight for this relationship for sure. She is very defensive, though, I have to tell you. You know, but he's got a lot of patience. He has just a lot. There's just a lot of love there. Let me see what else is going on. At the end of the day, how he does view her is a nice and really beautiful person, really just gorgeous, very attracted to her as well. There's something within him as well, that mirrors some of her verbal abusiveness. I see verbal abuse in here. I'm not saying that she doesn't purposely sit down and abuse him, but her words are very cutting. Very interesting. Here I see basically as well is that there's something about a choice, and it may be due to like a death in the family that gives them a little bit more another like a second win, a big second win, because with her it's all about losing faith, losing hope. And with him, he's always keeping hope and stuff like that. He's the one who really turns the wheels a lot. I think she's the one who just kind of with the legs on the side of the bike, at least right now. At her core, she really would love to make this work, but the decision between love and stubbornness, she always turns to stubbornness first. She always turns to me based on these cards. Um, Holding on to a level of ego and a level of herself that she will not allow to be vulnerable, and it comes out as very defensive in a lot of ways. There's also things that she does just to be a distraction, not to be able to open up and be able to tap into that wonderful, beautiful spirit that he knows she is. Because I think at the end of the day, there's a little girl inside that's still very afraid. There's just someone very, very afraid to be able to be in the space where it takes that masculine, feminine divinity that really meets to really be in that lifelong partnership. If she's going to do something, it's going to be moment by, or it's going to be like day by day or hour by hour. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. He is looking forward to now. I feel like it's kind of strange. He's definitely to me like holding on to this, and to me, like even though he knows their issues now, whereas he was a little a bit more wanting to talk about therapy and stuff like that. I feel like he's more for like kind of like moving forward, um, and going like, let's just get married. Let's just get married. I'm just ready to move forward and do that. But I don't really think that she fully is. Something that is very loving, but also very cold. I'm just getting some of her mother's energy in here. I'm not sure her mother is ridiculously supportive of this. In fact, some of the reason why she ends up staying single or ending up single, it's like there's this emotional cutoff for her that she hasn't been able to recover from. I mean, but how she comes off to so many people is, like, of course, Michelle of Destiny's Child, this star, this woman. And what I see here with the Ace of Swords, she's going to overcome this family crap or whatever is going on. Kind of with her mom. I feel like her mom is like an issue in this, whereas Michelle could usually, could use the support emotionally. There's just like this refusal to do that, to be there emotionally for somebody else. And I do think her mom is the one who's fill, filling that space right now, or not filling that space. There is a lot of earth energy in this reading. A lot, a lot, a lot. So I feel like certain levels of materialism. I don't know if it's easier by sort of keeping Michelle kind of single. It's easier financially or something in the family business or something like that, because some of those issues do run through on this in this reading. And there's definitely her health issues as well. But the core of this is just that lack of what feels like this certain level of support or in this area. I don't want to say that her mother doesn't support her all around, but I do feel like there's some motherly presence that isn't um, being too supportive, and is also very harsh verbally as well, and definitely on holds back emotionally on her. And I think that's a lot of the reason why um, there is this certain mental issue, sort of like health breakdown that she kind of has or whatever. She needs to really take care of herself and really allow herself to address some of these childhood things, because I do feel like with the father and the mother, it's really the reason why she's having these kind of anxiety attacks or whatever it is that's going on. That's this this health issue as well. There are definitely a lot of things to me like going on in her head. I feel like she sort of entertains. She's kind of been raised to sort of entertain certain things. So there's a lot of self negativity, um, a lot of total lack of personal value and personal worth. It's really weird because, we all know that she's just such a gorgeous girl. And obviously she's talented, and obviously she has a lot, and she always looks so quiet, but she always looks like the quiet one in Destiny's Child, but she's a total crack up, or as they say, I don't know, in Ireland, I think they say she is a crack. I mean, it's just like she's like a lot of fun, so it's really she seems like, she just cracks a lot of good jokes and is very down to earth. But I do think that things do bother her at night. I don't know what this issue is with her father. Maybe some abandonment issues that she has. Um, he may have broken some promises to her in the past. Very interesting. And I think that, with whatever had happened, because there's something major that happened. And I know that she said there was some kind of a really big abusive thing or something like that. I feel like with that or whatever, there was a big level of abandonment that she felt, a lot of disillusionment she felt, obviously, as a child. Certain things weren't communicated to her that she would have liked to have been communicated about. And, you know, how she sort of pushed that down is with her fame and attention, that she's gotten an acclaim in the world. But, it's like this, then she goes up to this point where she kind of just has walked herself free from all of that kind of world. So now she's back kind of struggling with um, some of the issues she had that was driving her sort of instability, her emotional instability, which is causing all the depression and a lot of the stuff that's going on. I'll leave his card out. I'll leave that card out too. And actually, I want to leave this card out. So let's get back to let me pick up some romance angel cards here and see what's going on with Michelle. Okay. There definitely is the card of getting to know each other. And I think that that's probably what she should take more time out, because obviously if she spends a lot more time with him as a friend and stuff like that, there'll be less anxieties that will come up. Let's see what else is going on. There are some issues with an ex person, but I feel like it's like a little bit more of, I get abusive issues, but I don't get like physically abusive. But there's just some things I don't feel like it's like love, but I just feel like it's feeling very drained and lack of trust and disrespect and just emotional abuse and anxiety imposed. And I think it's about as well like her being a little more open with Chad, definitely, and then trying to get to know him, and that she can sort of initiate things and kind of relax and keep things a little easier and stuff like that. And it's about her mindset, like it says here, stay optimistic about your love life, and that's totally something that she will have to work on. It's going to take a lot of work for her to get there, because these things that have happened that have shaped this kind of mindset have happened very long. However, I do feel like they're going to do a little more reconciling. They're going to maybe try to work a little bit harder, but there's a lot of stuff to go with her. He's got the emotional space for it, even though he's also kind of emotional a bit. But I don't know if these cards are for them. I feel like they're not. So I'm going to just go ahead and, if they want to come back out, if they're supposed to, they will. Okay. Express your love. There's that right now. And then there's the getting to know each other card, which came up again. Exhibit A. All right. Let's see. What was this? Religious factors are definite. And there is reconciliation, which is really good. I'm glad to hear that. So there's this whole thing about trusting. This unrequited love card does want to come up. I don't think that it's unrequited love here. Yeah, it has to do with an ex. It has to do with a person who is not in the picture anymore. But it's not that, I feel like this is on Michelle's side, and I feel like she's not entertaining anybody new or anything like that. But that, the effects from the old person is not there. And there's really not any caring there. So how does Michelle view Chad? Although it looks very healthy, since they're going to have their friends are kind of getting involved in helping them a bit with the communication. I think she's going to end up getting over the wedding. You see the timelines actually change depending on their attitude. It's even changed in this particular reading. So let's see what happens. But there is still this path to marriage. Oops. Lord. I think I kind of dropped those, so I'm not going to take those, but let's see. Okay, well, there's a honeymoon card here, but it's kind of on its side. So I feel like they are kind of just taking a little space from each other, but he is keeping tabs on her. He's very attentive, and he's very aware of the chemistry that they have between each other. He knows that he will be in a space where he has to do a lot of nurturing of her to get her to a place. But he's a caregiver, he's like a natural caregiver. So for him, he's kind of attracted this. Giving the relationship a chance, I would say as well, since he's a caregiver, a lot of times energetically you end up attracting people who you're going to have to give care to. If you do want Michelle to move in a place where you don't have to be the one always taking care of everything, then you want to kind of tone down your desire to be a caregiver, because you're going to energetically activate that in her constantly, like a neediness, or not 100% meeting you 100% emotionally, or things like that, where you have to coddle and take care of her and stuff like that. I hate to use the word coddle, so, but that did come out. So I guess it is what it is, but you have to be the extra nurturer. There is true attraction there, so I feel like for Chad, he should know that there's true love there as well, because I think he wonders about that. There's this children card. There may be this. I don't think it's really important for me to read on this. There's some conversations that have to go around children. Let's put it like that, and you're gonna leave it like that. I'm not a reader who goes and gets all deeply into everybody's business like that. So, if you can't deal with it, just do whatever you need to do. So the whole thing is that they're both of their energy is in this section of relationships, that they do really want to have a relationship, you know, overall in general. But the question is, will they do the work to be able to do that? Michelle definitely has to lighten up with the humor more. Um, there's this level of with the acceptance card, there's this need for that as well. And then Chad is like the worry thing. He's gonna have to stop worrying, and so is she. She's gonna have to learn to trust and to really be able to accept the blessings that are showing themselves in front of her face for what they are. And that should pretty much be what it is right now. So right now they're basically um they're in I see that there's been a separation, there's been probably a calling off of the engagement or some kind of, you know, temporary breakup. They are reconciling now. It is being initiated a lot by Chad. I feel like she has actually pushed him away, so he's trying to be patient, but he's being vigilant, and he's kind of watching her and kind of reaching out to her consistently and stuff like that. I do believe that she'll come around, but I do believe there's still a lot of work for her, because there's just a lot of trust issues from childhood that have nothing to do with him. And there's damage that was done from childhood that she'll have to go undo and heal. And that's really going to take a long time. Um, and a lot of attention in order to be able to maneuver through that within herself, in order to be able to really, on top of that, have this relationship. Because I feel like there's still certain anger that she has toward men, the masculine as well. And it's not that she's like a man hater. No, it's not that. But there's definitely like some unhealed stuff on the father's side. And I don't feel like her mother is super, super supportive, and not too supportive in this marriage. It's like she knows Chad is a good guy. This is how I see it based on these cards. I remember that for entertainment purposes. So if it's not her mom, it's some female, but I believe it's her mom. Um, that her mom doesn't, you know, is not like, oh, you know, hun, so good. Here's the healing family issues card. You know, just being supportive of the relationship. Yeah. Let me ask what the mom's energy is. What is Michelle's mother's energy? Michelle's mother. What's her energy toward the I saw the denial card. I feel like there's a level of regret and loneliness that is, you know, taking place maybe in her mom's own life and stuff like that. Um, and therefore she's not, with that denial card as well that I clearly saw that was gonna come out. I just feel like she is not really acknowledging the engagement in the way that Michelle needs her to acknowledge it. And so that kind of really throws Michelle off, like throws her health off. And so there are some struggles with that as well. But I think overall and in general, they're fine. Let me just see. What is their process going forward over the next couple of months? Chad and Michelle. Chad will be there taking his time, like continuing to offer himself, because I mean he's really going to hold on very, very hard to her, but she can't even see her own amazingness. It's so sad when people are like that. And she says that actually in the show. Doesn't It's showing here in the cards, but she says it in the show. Am I worth it? Am I worth it? Like, as long as she feels like she isn't worth it, you know, it's always going to be an issue. She's always going to be ready to eject out of the relationship until she gets comfortable with that. But there's a lot of suspicions and stuff going on and things like that. I feel like she has a greedy ass relative, you know. I do feel like that. She might not fully know it. Yeah, she needs to. She doesn't know it. She needs to watch her money. She gives him a lot of resistance, but he doesn't take it personally too tight. He's trying to adjust. It looks like he's in it for the long haul, like dealing with how she is. She's super set in her ways and stuff like that. So, I feel like there's a little bit of possessiveness on her side as well. She is super defensive. There goes that card again. Her back is turned. She's interested, but her back is turned. Everything, she's got a long way to go. She's got a deep, long commitment to really getting herself to a place where she can receive this relationship and promote stability within it. Yeah. Prayer for them would be like a really great thing. Definitely. I feel like this is either their therapist showing up this way, um, continuing to work with that therapist. Yeah, that's like her therapist, and I think the therapist actually does lend a good hand. But I think when it comes to discussing like black and white issues, Chad and Michelle, if you are watching, I think you should also have somebody who is white counseling or co-counseling along with the woman. It's not that the other woman can't be objective, but it's helpful to, I think, have an objective party who is also white who can hear this and to sort of keep balance in the scale as well, and be able to communicate from an unaffected point an unbiased, let's say, for lack of a better term, uninterested point of view as well. So you guys may want to consider that as well if you have to discuss interracial issues and stuff like that. I really feel like Michelle might be really worn out again with depression and stuff like that, and I feel like she feels like she's owed an apology for something. I feel like there's in certain ways there's a lot of development that needs to happen. I think she's gonna go her own way for a little while and stuff like that. She may go on another prayer retreat and one that's separate from him, but I think at the end of the day they will reconcile. Um, I think she really needs to be careful with her health again. Definitely, her thoughts and this negativity. It just really drains her. It really drains her. So she's got to be in a place where she can establish trust and that she doesn't allow her own emotions and trauma to take over and send her spiraling out mentally. I think overall she's going to end up getting it together. This card showed up again. So there are ways to go. It's not an easy path for her and Chad, but I think they're more in the dating they're more in the dating realm now than in the commitment to marriage. They may very well, with this card here, they may very well get married just to be. I feel like he's like, let's just let's just go ahead and get married, because I feel like we need to be as one unit. And if they're married and they're kind of building together and they're waking up and going to sleep together and bonding, and I think they're having that sexual bond as well, that might help for more of a bond at this point in time. It would not have helped if it happened right up front, but at this point in time with the two of them, he may be thinking that as well. If we're bonding that way, then there's much more of a bond, so that everything isn't, the engagement is off, or ripping off the ring every time there's a disagreement. There's more investment to keep the situation together. So we'll see what happens. But for now, I really don't see her allowing him in right now. Not too much. He's waiting though. He will wait. He will wait for her And he does love her very much, and she does really care about him too much. I mean, very much, but she's got just a lot. She's totally in the past to a certain extent. Like her past is just in the present, and there's a lot of healing and trauma that needs to happen. Yoga, I say, also helps. Yoga helps with trauma, like big time. All right, so that's it for this video. If you guys want a reading, you can check the description box below and have a wonderful evening. Bye. Or day, or, morning, wherever you are in the world.